On behalf of Indira Gandhi National Open University, we welcome you for this video lecture session. Today's topic is importance of statistics. This topic is from the course Quality Engineering and Management, and this is the 14th module which is to be used in week 5. I am Subhashish Maji, professor in Mechanical Engineering from School of Engineering and Technology of Indira Gandhi National Open University. So today's topic is importance of statistics. After listening to this video lecture, you will be able to understand what is statistics. You will be able to describe the importance of statistics. You will be able to measure the central tendency and dispersions, and you will also be able to explain the confidence interval, etc. The tools for quality attainment can be broadly classified in the following two main categories: management tools and statistical tools. In a TQM culture, that is total quality management culture, both tools should be used by anybody from the top manager to shop floor engineer. However, the first category will be more useful to manager, whereas the second will be useful to the technical employees. Here we will be discussing about the importance of statistics and the statistical tools. Still today, number of management tools have been explained. Notable among them are Principles of Management Rules advocated by Deming, Zuran, Quality Triology, Crosby's Zero Defect Program, 7 Management and Planning Tools, 7 Quality Control Tools, etc. Statistical tools include SQC or SPC, control charts, etc. All these tools are mostly used for quality improvement. Quality products and processes leads to customer satisfaction. SQC means statistical quality control and SPC means statistical process control. A fundamental need of a quality system is the reduction of variation. One of the early workers to use statistical tools is Walter Shewhart. Shewhart's work in 1920s was initially focused on the reduction of variability in the performance of telephones at Bell Laboratories. In order to study the trend in variability with time, Shewhart calculated upper and lower limits, which are also called control limits. The departure of a trend outside these limits signaled the need for corrective action. Thus, it became possible to predict the behavior of a process. In 1935, LHC Tippett introduced the concepts of sampling techniques for inspection of goods in bulk with the introduction of sampling plans. US military in 1940 was the first to adopt the statistical tools proposed by Shewhart and Tippett. The statistical quality control, we call it SQC. The statistical quality control movement gathered momentum and found acceptance in industry also. In this lecture session, basic concepts of statistics will be presented. The application of statistics in quality engineering will be highlighted. Statistics is the science of collecting, organizing and interpreting numerical facts called data. Statistics is largely associated with the bits of data that appear in news reports, average rainfall, percentage of population below poverty lines, expected life of a member of a particular society. And in the present scenario, you might have noticed that the statistics data are also presented in different websites for the COVID-19 scenarios. So you will find that the number of persons affected with this deadly virus, that is COVID-19 virus, for different states of our country or the different countries, you will get the ready reckoner by the click of a moment in the computer. You will get the data, how many persons are infected for this deadly virus, that is coronavirus, for different, say, populations in different countries. In the advertisement also, often data are used to show the superiority of the advertiser's product. The usefulness of statistics goes far beyond these everyday examples. The study and collection of data are important in the work of many professions. Each month, for example, government statistical offices releases the latest numerical information on employment and inflation. Doctors must understand the origin and trustworthiness of the data that appear in medical journals if they are to offer their patients the most effective treatment. Politicians rely on data from polls of public opinion, market research data that reveal customer tastes, influence business decisions. Farmers study data from field trials of new crop varieties. Engineers gather data on the quality and reliability of manufactured data. So you will find that data are very important for taking any decision if there is uncertainty for that particular scenario. And you might have noticed that before any major election, there are exit polls and they take the data from the different citizens of a country and they project what could be the final outcome for the election which is going to be held for a particular date, even though before election they project their inferences or they project that the outcome, the probable outcome for that particular elections. The study of statistics is essential to a sound education. It helps to read data critically and with comprehension. Statistics helps produce data that provide clear answer to important questions and helps reach valid conclusions. Statistics teaches how to gather, organize and analyze data and then to infer the underlying reality from these data. Persons in industry and government make decisions that are increasingly dependent upon the collection and interpretation of data. So these are all important because when any organization is going to launch for a new product, they collect data, what could be the outcome for that particular product which is going to be in the market after some time. So they predict they do the market research and accordingly they predict the success of any new product which is going to be launched in due course of time. Statistics is also a theory about decision making that allows us to make judgment under uncertainty. Statistics provides us with a set of methods, that is mathematical procedures for organizing, summarizing, presenting and interpreting information or data. These methods provide standardized techniques for communicating and interpreting information. The statistical tools can be interpreted as vocabulary and symbol for communicating data. Statistics could be descriptive or inferential. Following example depict descriptive statistics. Average rainfall in Ceylon last year, or the new telephone connections in the year 2020. Inferential statistics are used to draw inferences about a population from a sample. Consider an experiment in which two groups of 10 students are asked to perform a task. The first group had a normal night's sleep, whereas the second group was deprived of sleep for 24 hours. The second group got 30 marks lower than the first group. Then inferential statistics help us to answer the following question. Number 1. Is the difference real or could it be due to chance? Number 2. How much larger could the real difference be than the 30 marks found in the sample? Both descriptive and inferential statistics find applications in quality engineering. In order to control the quality, manager often obtains the information through sampling. While studying statistics, we often encounter the terms population and sample. Population is a set of all individuals in a study, whereas a sample is a set of all individuals selected from a population. A sample is intended to represent the population and should be identified in terms of the population from which it was selected. One could collect data from the whole population for study purpose, but often it is not a feasible idea. For example, inspection of all items may be a very costly affair if destructive testing is required. Then, except conducting the test on a sample and inferring the results for population, there is no other way. Importance of statistics. The relationship between the population and sample is depicted in this figure. So this figure is relationship between population and sample. The population, all the individuals of interest. So let us say the population of our country. So every individual will be there, if we call it the population of the persons in our country. So the sample is selected from the population. When you talk about sample, so we will collect the sample from the population. The population, all the individuals of interest, and the result from sample are generalized to the population. So if you take some sample and if you see that the average height or average weight, so that will depict about the population from which the sample is taken. A parameter is a whole value. A parameter is a value, usually numerical, that prescribes a population. It may be derived from a single measurement or a set of measurements from the population. For example, population mean is a parameter. Statistic describes a sample and may be derived from a single measurement or a set of measurements from the sample. For example, sample mean is a statistic. In quality engineering, we often have to deal with data. Data has to be interpreted properly. To know the behavior of a particular data set, there are certain statistical measures. Two important measures are central tendency and dispersion of data. The mode is the most commonly occurring observations. It is possible for more than one mode to exist in the population. Mid-range The mid-range is the midpoint between the highest and the lowest observation. Median. The median is the middle observation when all observations are arranged in order of magnitude. In other words, this is the value for which it can be said that half of the observations lie above the value and other half lie below. The median is less sensitive to extreme scores than the mean, and this makes it a better measure than the mean for highly skewed distribution. The median income is usually more informative than the mean income. Measures of central tendency and dispersion. So, when you talk about the arithmetic mean, we all know that the arithmetic mean, also referred to as mean, is the arithmetic average of all observations with respect to a sample size n represented by x1, x2, x3 and xn. The sample mean is given by x bar is equal to the summation of xi, where I is equal to 1 to n, whole divided by n. The sample mean provides an excellent estimate of the population mean, except when the population is highly skewed, that is highly asymmetric. Now, when you talk about the geometric mean, it is the nth root of the product of n given observations. The geometric mean G is given by G equal to multiplication of all the values which are in the sample to the power 1 by n. This type of mean is suitable if the observations increase exponentially or a geometric progression. For example, the data 1, 4, 16, 64 to 56, the arithmetic mean is 68.2, that you can get 1 plus 4 plus 16 plus 64 plus 256 whole divided by 5, that comes out to be 68.2, whereas the geometric mean is 16. So that gives the correct picture, that is the geometric mean gives the correct picture for the central element. Harmonic mean. The harmonic mean h of n numbers is given by 1 by h is equal to 1 by n summation of 1 by xi. Sometimes the harmonic mean gives a better measure of central tendency. For example, consider this problem. A truck goes from one city to the other city at a speed of 40 km per hour and returns at a speed of 60 km per hour. It is desired to find out the average speed of the truck. My dear students, you see that you cannot make the average speed, that is 40 plus 60, that is 100 divided by 2, that is 50. That will give you the wrong answer. Now let us see how we can calculate the average speed for this case. This problem can be solved in a different way. Let the distance between the cities be s. Time taken t1 in going from one city to the other is, so t1 is the time taken while going at a speed of 40 km per hour for covering the distance s km. So t1 is equal to s divided by 40. The time taken to return, that is t2, is equal to s divided by 60, because returning speed is 60 km per hour. So average speed is total distance divided by total time. Total distance means s plus s, that is twice s. Total time means t1 plus t2. t1 we have calculated as s by 40, t2 we have calculated as s by 60, and you put the value of t1 and t2, and after doing little bit calculations, the final result comes out to be 48 km per hour. This is the harmonic mean of the speed 40 km per hour and 60 km per hour, the arithmetic mean is 50 km per hour, which is an inferior measure to harmonic mean in this particular case. In order to explain the various concepts in central tendency, another example is presented. The marks obtained by 10 students in an examination are as follows: 46, 38, 44, 39, 43, 37, 43, 47, 41, 42. The values are arranged in the ascending order, that is starting from 37, 38, 39, 41, 42, 43, 43. So there are two 43s, and the next 44, the next 46, and the highest number is 47. Now, if you want to calculate the mid-range, the highest and lowest marks are 47 and 37 respectively. Therefore, the mid-range is 37 plus 47 divided by 2, that comes out to be 42. So 42 is the mid-range. There are two data lying in the middle, that is 42 and 43, because the data 37, 38, 39, 41 lies on the left hand side of 42, and the rest, that is 43, 44, 47 and 46 lies on the right hand side of 43. The median is given by the average of two middle values, that is 42 plus 43 whole divided by 2, that comes out to be 42.5. So that is the value of the median. The sample size, that is n, is 10. So simple arithmetic mean, if you sum up all the numbers and divide by 10, that comes out to be 42, and the geometric mean G is calculated as within bracket 37 multiplied by the 38, then multiplied by 39, and so on to the power 1 upon 10. That comes out to be 41.88. The harmonic mean for this case is equal to 1 by 8 plus 1 by 10 within bracket 1 by 37 plus 1 by 38 plus 1 by 39, and so on for all the numbers. Finally, if you calculate the H, you will get as 41.76. So, dear students, you have calculated the arithmetic mean, you have calculated the geometric mean, you have calculated the harmonic mean, you have also calculated the mid-range for this data. So, the variance is the sum of squared deviations from the mean divided by degrees of freedom. The sample variance is denoted by S square, that comes out to be summation of within bracket xi minus x bar whole square whole divided by n minus 1. So if n is the sample size, then the degrees of freedom will be n minus 1, and xi minus x bar is the deviation of a particular number xi from the mean. So by this formula you can calculate the variance. Standard deviation. The standard deviation is defined as the square root of variance. Once you calculate the variance, you can calculate the standard deviation, that is the square root of variance. Therefore, in the above example, the standard deviation is under root of 9.78, that comes out to be 3.127. Now, range. The range is the difference between the highest and lowest value in a sample. The range in marks obtained by 10 students in the examination is 47 minus 37 is equal to 10, because 47 is the highest marks obtained by the students and 37 is the lowest mark for this particular problem. So the range is 47 minus 37 is equal to 10. Now we are discussing a very interesting topic, that is confidence interval. Sample statistic can be used to estimate the population parameter. However, these statistics are only point estimates, in that they provide a single numerical estimate but no measure of its probable accuracy. Some idea of probable accuracy can be obtained by calculating interval estimators associated with a certain prescribed degree of confidence. The confidence interval, that is CI. So confidence intervals can be constructed for any individual population parameter such as mean or variance, or even any combination of parameters from more than one population such as difference of mean. Suppose we wish to estimate an interval of a parameter such as population mean from the sample statistics. Choose a probability gamma close to 1. For example, gamma is 0.95. Then determine two quantities M1 and M2 such that the probability that M1 and M2 include the exact unknown value of the parameter is equal to gamma. We can never be 100% sure about the population mean based on observing one or few samples. Therefore, we use the probability in estimating the interval. The values M1 and M2 are called lower and upper confidence limits for the parameter. The number gamma is called the confidence level and is often expressed as percentage. Commonly used confidence levels are 95% or 99%. As an example, if we choose gamma equal to 95%, then we can expect that about 95% of the samples that we may obtain will yield confidence intervals that include the value of the parameter, whereas the remaining 5% do not. Hence, the statement the confidence interval includes the parameter value will be correct in about 19 out of 20 cases, while in the remaining cases it will be false. The following method is adopted for finding out the confidence interval, that is CI, for the mean of the normal distribution. So how to calculate or how to find out the confidence interval? The step 1, choose a confidence level gamma. Step 2, determine the corresponding C from the following data, and table 1 is given the confidence level and value of statistic. So if you take gamma as 0.90, the value of C is equal to 1.645. If you take the value of gamma is 0.95, the value of C will be 1.960. If you take the value of gamma as 0.99, the value of C will be 2.576. If you take the value of gamma is 99.9%, then the value of C is 3.291. Now step 3, the mean, that is x bar of the sample, and so step 4, that compute value of k, that is equal to C sigma under root n, where sigma is the standard deviation of the distribution. The confidence level for the population x bar is x bar minus k to x bar plus k. So dear students, we have discussed about the preliminary concept for statistics, and we have also seen how the statistics is very important for quality control. So let us very quickly summarize our discussion. We have discussed what is statistics, the importance of statistics. We have discussed the measure of central tendency and dispersion. Here we have calculated the arithmetic average, the geometric average, harmonic average. We have found out how to calculate the median, mode and all, and lastly we have discussed the confidence interval, etc. So thank you very much for today's discussion. Next class we will bring some more interesting topics on the importance of statistics in quality engineering. Thank you very much.